my Toronto. VK on the beat. Check. I'm in Toronto where you wanna get the city love. I'm from Toronto where you wanna get the city love. I'm in Toronto like we wanna get the city love. My city love me back for my city love.
Welcome to episode 1658 of Toronto Mic'd, proudly brought to you by Great Lakes Brewery, a fiercely independent craft brewery who believes in supporting communities, good times, and brewing amazing beer. Order online for free local home delivery in the GTA. Palma Pasta. Enjoy the taste of fresh, homemade Italian pasta and entrees from Palma Pasta in Mississauga and Oakville. RecycleMyElectronics.ca. Committing to our planet's future means properly recycling our electronics of the past. Building Toronto Skyline, a podcast and book from Nick Iones, sponsored by Fusion Corp Construction Management, Inc. And Ridley Funeral Home, pillars of the community since 1921. Joining me today is FOTM Hall of Famer, Stu Stone. Welcome back, Stu.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
It's great to be here. And, as we said when we greeted each other outside, seeing each other's names and each other's schedules. I mean, does anything make you happier, Mike? Because nothing makes me happier.
When I saw Stu Stone, first of all, we should tell the listenership, this was in the calendar for like a month ago.
Yes.
And I was getting excited, and you got COVID.
I did.
How are you feeling now?
Well, I've been vaccinated, so I didn't even get it. No.
I don't think that's how it works.
Oh, really?
If Wilner can get it, anyone can get it.
Yes. Well, actually, COVID got Wilner. I will say that it wasn't as bad as it used to be, but still, it's a pain in the ass for sure.
Did it knock you on your butt? Like were you in
I
bed?
felt like lethargic. I was definitely like sleeping for like 2 days.
Okay.
Which that's a positive. So it's like if COVID means just like getting rest, then maybe it's not so bad. But yeah, definitely, it's still around all these years later. It's the 5-year anniversary of us locking down and starting Pandemic Friday.
I think the first Pandemic Friday was March 27. No, March 20th. It was March 20th.
Okay, so that's 5 years ago, like this week.
Yeah, so happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary to Pandemic Friday. Now, to imagine that's already 5 years ago. Like, where does the time go? And what has happened in the last 5 years? Like, can you take stock of your life? Something huge has happened for you recently, which we should talk about.
Well, do you want to talk about it now? I mean, like when I see Stu Stone in the calendar, all these thoughts come in my head and I take quick notes to make sure I don't miss anything. But where would you like to begin?
Well, I mean, listen, Mike, arguably over the last 5 years, a lot of great things have happened to you in your life. That's not COVID. That's just a regular sneeze.
Gesundheit.
Thank you. A lot of good things have happened in your life. Obviously, you had that huge write-up in the Toronto Star.
Right. Yeah,
like
behind
full
you
page.
Yeah, I framed it.
Yeah,
That's
the
right.
old frame job there.
Yeah.
The Alejandro Kirk frame job back there. You also have done like another 10,000 episodes in the last 5 years. But the most coveted piece of Mike media happened very recently, Mike. Yes. When I was flipping through the channels of my television, like someone my age does, we still flip channels.
I'll still flip channels, sure.
And who should I see bright and early on CNN?
Okay, you saw it live?
I did.
That's unbelievable to me. I didn't know anyone would be watching at 6:45 a.m. CNN.
I'm still, maybe I was watching a rerun of it then, because it definitely wasn't. If it was 6:45, then maybe I fell asleep on the couch with the TV on. But I saw you on television, on CNN.
Wow.
You were the guest on CNN. Like, that is actually mind-blowing.
When you say it out loud, I don't believe you. It's like, I don't believe you, but I know what happened.
Like a live hit on CNN, and they're looking for someone to talk about Canada and where we all stand right now. And Mike is the guy that they go to, which is unbelievable. It's hard to believe, but it is believable. You definitely have established yourself as a member. You are a pundit in your own right. You definitely are a home for pundits to come in your basement and talk stuff.
If I'm a pundit, I'm an accidental pundit.
Yeah. Well, you became a pundit on CNN. That's on your resume. And from what I understand from watching it, they even were like, we'll have to have you back sometime. Like, you don't say that to someone who you don't want to have back.
I don't know. Maybe they were being nice, but the producer even said, we're going to have you back. It would be wild if I became like the Canadian correspondent.
And you had like CNN, the jersey, you know, you had your hair all done.
Did you? Okay, so...
You said your CNN hair.
The hair was au naturel, as always.
Yes.
Right? But I did have this moment of like, what do I wear? I was going to wear a T-shirt, and then I'm like, I'm going to wear my Canada jersey.
That was good.
I'm sending a message. I'm speaking to Americans.
First of all, people go to Turkey to get hair like yours. It is absolutely amazing how much hair you have. And
John Gallagher, I think, did it on, what was it, 2020? Do you know this story?
No.
Like I think it was 9/11, and John Gallagher, the 2020 was going to have John Gallagher on. They were going to talk about hair plugs because he was getting hair plugs.
Yeah.
And then 9/11 happened, and they, of course...
Scrapped it.
Yes. They decided maybe we have other things to talk about other than John Gallagher and hair plugs or whatever.
So was it life-changing for you to be on CNN? It was definitely in the moment, for sure. It had to be.
Okay, so it all came together. So I didn't have time to like get nervous. I had a little time, but I got notified. I got the request on the Thursday night. So I guess I read that email around.
How did they find you?
Somebody, a producer there said, we've been listening to Toronto Mic'd, and we hear you talking to guests about the 51st state annexation threats. And they said, would you be our guest for CNN this morning with Audie Cornish at 6:45 a.m. tomorrow morning? So I get this email. And, you know, you kind of look at it like, is this a joke? And you see, oh, it is at CNN.com, and it's got a real-looking signature. And I just replied with, like, sure. Like, what do I have to do? And they said, oh, click this link at 6:30. We'll do a level check, and then at 6:45, you'll be live. And you saw the rest.
Unbelievable.
I know.
And so after you were on, it's like literally crazy.
It is, because I did it, right? And in the moment you do it, I was nervous.
Yeah.
I did it. Then I got to see the video recording, of course. My wife had a pirate stream she recorded because we don't get CNN. Like, I don't have CNN in my cable package.
You should have mentioned that. Maybe I'd give you a password.
But then CNN producer emails me an MP4 and said, here is...
Oh, great.
So and then I put that on my YouTube, and then shortly thereafter, I see there's CNN's got their own YouTube channel, and they've also uploaded it.
Did it get a lot of views?
Yeah, it was last I checked, it was like 400,000.
Wow. And are people in the comments being like, nice hair or anything like that?
I was looking for hair comments. I saw a lot of people like supportive. Of course, there were the odd, you know, I mean, I didn't read.
What are the mean ones? What did they say? Because I know that you would get great pleasure if the roles were reversed here and I was on CNN and there was potentially mean comments. You would get great pleasure having me acknowledge those. So I'd like to know.
Don't Fuck with Ghosts was a bad movie.
Exactly. Should I go on and look right now? Should I do my own independent research?
The way it goes with the default sort for the comments, it's not chronological. So everything I saw, like in the first couple of scrolls, were very positive. Like, we're with you, Canada, things like that.
Pulling it up.
And
wow, there's 2,433 comments here.
And that's just the VP of sales. But if you scroll down, you get to the people who are like, I think the one comment that irked some Pierre Poilievre fanatics is I claim in that 5-minute chat, I said that Pierre Poilievre's Conservative Party of Canada has viewpoints that align with MAGA. Like, I don't think I said MAGA. I think I said your president. And I think that if you were like a big Pierre Poilievre booster, you might not want to be to hear that on CNN, that I think it's aligned with MAGA.
The crazy part about all this, not to like stray from this conversation because I want to come back to it,
sure.
But this whole Trump thing that's happened with Canada, tariffs, et cetera, 51st state, it's unbelievable to see. You know, I would say that I have not seen a comeback like this since the Leafs blew a 3-1 lead or whatever
4-1.
It was, 4-1 lead against the Boston, or even
Pierre Poilievre had a 4-1 lead.
Like literally, like these guys were 30 points down like a month ago, left for dead.
A couple months ago,
Which is kind of interesting because, like, technically speaking, if you were to look back a year ago today, Donald Trump was left for dead. Like, this guy was facing charges in court. Like,
he might be disqualified.
There's no way this,
you know,
it's just politics over the last couple of years has been remarkable.
It's kind of like WWE, right?
Yeah. It's like
it's kind of like wrestling, and yes, everybody, we're going to get to Dark Side of the Ring talk. I have a note from Canada Kev on that subject. Real quick question, though, from a fellow FOTM Hall of Famer, Live Famke. He wants to know, when are you going to join because you're in it, but you don't contribute, but are you going to join the FOTM
the conversation
group? Yeah.
Perhaps when we're done here, you can show me what I'm missing.
Okay, because you're there, but you're an absentee landlord.
I don't really use WhatsApp. I was really comfortable when we were back in the old days when we were on Cam Gordon's Twitter.
Right.
But that all changed.
Okay, you just tell me if you've got to leave, because I have a million questions.
I'm here, man.
Because I could talk about CNN for 90 minutes. But
but let's wrap up that CNN conversation.
but then let me get back to the Twitter when you're done the CNN.
When you are on coming off the air, like obviously it's at 6:45.
Okay, so I'm sitting here.
Yeah.
So I'm here.
Yeah.
And I come down. So normally my alarm goes off at 7:30 because I wake up at 7:30, then I wake up more again, and then we bike to her YMCA before school care. Okay. This is like my typical Friday or whatever. So I set my alarm for 6 so I could make sure I was out of bed and sounding okay by 6:30, because at 6:30 I was told to join via what's it called? What's the WebEx? Yeah, I think it's called WebEx. So I was told to click this link at 6:30. So I do that, and I'm hearing CNN live in the headphones. Like I can hear it. And then a producer comes on to do like a level check and check out my camera and stuff. And then at 6:45, I hear the intro to my segment, which is a scene from, is it Canadian Bacon, with where America's gonna invade Canada? And then Audie Cornish is talking to me for 5 minutes. So I'm feeling very nervous at the beginning, and by the end I felt kind of normal, but then it was over. Like it was like you blink and you miss it.
Yeah.
And then you come out of it, and then you're kind of like, I'm going upstairs to ask Monica if I sucked or not. Like, did I suck? Because she watched it live on the Pirate stream and she recorded it, and then I kind of watch it. And anyway, that's it's all like real fast. It's a blur, and I don't know why I was chosen. Like, did Strombo not answer his email? Like, I'm like, what, am I the first guy? Like, did they ask 100 people and then I'm the 101st person? I don't know.
So after you get off the air, it's obviously early, so there's not probably text messages and social media stuff coming at you.
No, stuff came in right away.
Oh, right away.
For example, FOTM Mike Eppel. Do you know this name?
Yeah.
He's I guess he's live. I don't know if he's on Breakfast Television or 680 or both, but he's live from the Rogers complex doing stuff, and they have a CNN on one of the screens. So he's working away, and he looks over to his left.
And he sees it.
And he has a double take.
Yeah.
Like it's CNN, but that's the same view you get if you watch live.torontomike.com, and I'm in my Canada jersey, which I've been wearing a bit since the Four Nations there, which we can talk about in a bit.
That was awesome.
It's amazing. So, right away, you get right away.
And so throughout the day, is there like obviously there's a bump in text messages and in social
Huge
media
bump.
stuff.
Huge bump. People come out of the woodwork, like people like Chantel. Sorry, I say her name wrong every time.
Chantal Kraviazuk, my buddy.
Sends me an email to tell me she saw it and she loved it.
Great national anthemist, Chantal Kraviazuk.
I defended her, even though Elvis had negative things to say about it. I actually loved the fact she did something. Like she said, we can talk about whether it was effective, or we can talk about, changing the
Listen,
tune
they won, so that's the best thing that could have happened.
So many cool. So
wait, so anyway.
Wrap up the CNN and then we'll move on. But
yeah, that's the thing.
I don't want to bore everybody.
I don't think you're boring anybody. You have a lot of out
Is
of
your
the
mom going to hear this?
She's probably listening right now.
She's doing okay?
She is. The out of the woodworks people.
Yeah.
That's something that people who appear on television, they deal with that type of stuff. Right. If you have some kind of a big moment, I'm a guy that's had a long career, let's just say.
You were in Donnie Darko.
But occasionally I'll show up somewhere and then I'll get like out of the woodworks people hitting me up.
Have you ever been on CNN?
I've never been on CNN. What was the weirdest, you don't have to name names, but like the most random out of the woodworks person that wrote you?
That's a great question, because I was, you get it left, right, and center. Like it comes at you, especially the first few days. Like that first weekend too, all weekend long, you're hearing from people
like,
who are
oh my God, Mike.
Just saw you on CNN, or like randomly the YouTube clip was shared. Oh, here's the best one. And I think I might have shared this on a Toronto Mike before, so pardon the repeat story. But Elvis, the aforementioned Elvis, who's my buddy Perry.
Yep.
Okay. He's at his kid's hockey game in Oshawa. So he's in the arena watching his kid play hockey. Another family is there watching their kid play in the same game, and the grandfather of the family is talking to his family about this guy he saw on CNN. I saw this guy on CNN standing up for us, and here's what he said. And I was so moved by it, I sent this guy an email, and he actually wrote back. Like, Elvis is just hearing this out loud in the wild.
That's so funny.
And then Elvis, according to Elvis, this was the greatest worlds colliding moment of his life, because that's me. I wrote
funny.
this guy back.
Now, I've been out with you in public before.
Yeah.
And I'm not ashamed to say that. I've been out in public with you before, Mike.
Several times.
And I have seen people come up to you and recognize you and sort of like, mark out for you, so to speak, in wrestling speak.
Right.
But I've seen people pop for you. I've seen people be like, I'm Toronto Mike, hey! And like they come up to you.
It happened.
Now, does
last
CNN
weekend.
elevate that even more?
Oh, good question. We'll see if I've yet to have the whole "you're the guy from CNN." Like, that hasn't happened yet. But I actually had a brunch last weekend. I had brunch with the Broad Squad, which are
I know them.
Lieve Fumka,
Great group of broads.
Moose Grumpy,
Yes.
and Stephanie Wilkinson.
Love them.
We're having brunch in South Etobicoke, and
Where did you guys go for brunch? Who ordered what?
It's called the Olive.
And what does
It's near Sherway.
Okay.
And Juan's there as well.
Juan came as well.
Juan drives Lieve Fumka because she had back
Yeah.
surgery.
Does she make him sit at another table?
Shout out to Juan. But anyway, so I get there. I'm the first. No, so Juan and Lieve Fumka are there, and then I arrive. So Moose and Steph haven't arrived yet. But almost right away, I sit down, and a man kind of comes straight for me and says, "You're Toronto Mike." And
That's
I'm
so cool.
I'm like, yes, I am Toronto Mike. And he goes on this wonderful, he's been listening for 3 years. He had heard Friday's episode of Holly Cole. So he was really up to date because this was on the weekend and he had heard Holly Cole already. And he was telling me how much he loves it. And even if he doesn't know the person, he enjoys them after hearing them talk to me. Like and I honestly, I said to Levy, like, I hired this actor to go do, like, it would be something you'd hire somebody to do this, to make yourself look big and important in front of somebody else. Right?
Are you on Cameo now?
How much should I charge? I'll do your cameo for free. Quick mind blow from J-Ho on the live stream. He just found out that Biff Naked was in the boys club. I
now
knew
he
this, of
found that
course.
out?
Yeah. J-Ho, where have you been, buddy? We've been talking about that for years.
Yeah.
Quick question from the live stream for you. Jamie Kennedy was on Tori Spelling's podcast, and the question is, when is Stu Stone going to be on Tori Spelling's podcast?
Probably it was a better chance for me to be on Dean's podcast. Although I did appear.
You mean Dean McDermott?
Yes.
Not Dean Blundell.
Correct.
Okay. Dean's got a podcast?
Well, he did with you for a second until People Magazine. But I will say that.
Why doesn't CNN have me on to talk about that?
They should. Fun fact.
Yeah.
I was on an episode of Beverly Hills 90210 in the 90s. That's a fun fact.
You were David Silver's buddy, and you went to a Gap.
Right. So there you go.
See, I think
it was an Urban Outfitters, but yes.
Wasn't a Gap?
No.
Okay. I've been misled. So
that's a fun fact. I don't think she'd bring me on her pod to talk about that, though.
And you were buds. I know this because Dean's been on my show, and Dean McDermott called you Stu the Jew.
Yes, he did, which, in today's day and age might have different connotation. But I will say that I'm not probably going to be on Tori's podcast, but I was on Jamie Kennedy's podcast, and that was a really cool thing that you should check out on YouTube.
How old is this? Because I did see you on Jamie.
Recently. Like, this was in the last month.
Okay, I haven't seen that one.
It was like a 2-hour sort of a no-holds-barred conversation. It was pretty good.
I like the fact when I first showed you this that I got from Mark Weisblatt, fellow FOTM Hall of Famer.
And you got it for free.
You pointed out that this marker here
promo
means it was a promo copy, and 1236 did not cough up the $12.36 for this CD. See what I did there? Okay. Yeah. You're still active on Twitter, yes or no?
Not like I was. I don't think anybody is like they were. But, I still go to Twitter for breaking news kind of stuff.
Can I tell you what Mike Wilner told me the day before the CNN thing? So a lot of things happened because so this was a Thursday. I did the CNN on Friday. So on Thursday, Mike Wilner visited. I'm going to get back to that because he mentioned you.
Oh, I know.
You know this. So Mike Wilner's here, and then he's talking about how I wasn't on Twitter, but I was still pasting promotional things onto Twitter. And then he said to me, Mike, he asked me a question. He said, if you enjoyed going to a bar and you were drinking at this bar, you were drinking your Great Lakes beer at a bar, and then that bar was bought by a Nazi. So now a guy you believe to be a Nazi now owns that bar. He said, would you continue to drink at this bar? And I had a moment of like, no, I would go to a different bar.
Sure.
That's what I was doing by still having a presence on Twitter. So I posted one final X or tweet or post or whatever that basically I'm gone, but I'm on Blue Sky if you care about me at all. And then I haven't actually visited since.
Wow. So is it hard to not go back?
No, I thought it would be hard because I'd been all into it since like 2008 or something, which is many, many years. And I used to really enjoy it back in the Cam Gordon era.
I mean, if you think about Elon Musk 5 years ago when we were doing our Pandemic Fridays and the evolution of his character over the last 5 years, it's pretty, like I said.
Kind of like wrestling.
Politics is remarkable. Like this guy, it's pretty crazy. I don't know that the guy's a Nazi. That might be a bit of a stretch, but...
Well, you have to start with, do you believe he's a Nazi? If you don't believe he's a Nazi, then you don't go forward with the flow chart or whatever. I've seen the salute. Like he did it twice. And to me,
yeah,
Gentile Mike sitting here, I have no doubt what that was.
Right.
I have determined, based on the fact he did that intentionally, he's a Nazi. It's a Nazi sympathizer.
You know, they're a sympathetic group of folks. You know, it's like you should, if you're not going to sympathize with Nazis, like, what are you doing with your life? Twitter's obviously not what it was, but I still think that, you know, if if celebrity dies or something like that, like you used to go to TMZ to like verify these things, and now I think you
go to Reddit or something.
Yeah, well, I still, pull up Twitter and like if some ongoing live in the moment thing that needs to be, it still has like a town hall quality about it, but
Wilner's gone.
Wilner's gone, so now it's much better.
Both Wilners.
Norm's gone as well.
He left first, actually. Norm left first, and then Mike left, and now Toronto Mike has left.
All the mics are gone. So have you found, like, I don't know Blue Sky, but do you have the same sort of engagement on there?
I would argue when you get less followers, right? But you have more humans engaging with you. At least I do. Like, so, I mean, I have no regrets, and if ownership changes, I might end up resurrecting the account on X. Hopefully they rename it Twitter. That's a wild branding decision they made.
Isn't his son's name also X?
He's got a child with an X in the name. Yeah.
Okay.
He's had an obsession with X, I think, forever. He's got SpaceX.
Yeah. Oh, that's true.
Yeah. He's got an X infatuation there. So speaking of Wilner,
he also has a few X's.
He does, including a Canadian X. Wilner tells me you're in his baseball fantasy draft.
Yes.
And he added on, this is in the episode I was talking about, which was recorded the day before. We'll call it pre-CNN, one day before CNN. He says he's fine. He said on the record that it was frustrating to talk to you about Ross Atkins because you're so personally close to the man who I sat behind when I went to see Don't Fuck with Ghosts.
Yes, you did.
So a couple of things here. One is it fun to be in Mike Wilner's fantasy draft? Like any other big celebs in there?
I mean, when I think of fantasy, I think of Mike Wilner. Often I fantasize about Mike Wilner.
He's dating a gal who was on Degrassi?
Who?
Nancy. Do you remember Nancy?
Yeah. I knew that she's like some sort of baker that he's with.
Yes. Okay, so she was Nancy on Degrassi. I feel like this is for Andy Pandy. But after the recording...
Is that something he spoke about candidly?
After the recording... by the tree when we were taking our photo.
He's like, by the way. Yeah.
He said, would you have my girlfriend on? And then I'm like, well, who's your girlfriend? And he said, she was on Degrassi.
And you immediately snapped. You were like, yes.
And I said, yes, I would have your girlfriend
amazing.
on. And now she's in the calendar.
I'm happy that Mike has found a significant other. He's a good guy. I am in his fantasy league. And as far as me, first of all, we haven't seen the whole thing play out for the Blue Jays this year, so who knows if Mike's right and I'm wrong.
You can say that about anything.
Okay, well, I'm just saying specifically, you can't say that Vlad's not going to be on the Blue Jays until he isn't.
Well, that's for sure.
And you can't say that they played it wrong until they didn't.
Can you say they played it wrong for 2024?
Maybe.
That's rear view mirror stuff.
I mean, I
mean, maybe.
I can't change what happened in the past. I can only look forward. Blue sky, Mike. I will say this. maybe Mike just doesn't know what it's like to have really good friends. Because if people were shit talking Mike Wilner to me, I would defend him.
Can't you separate the human from their
Now people say that.
decisions?
Let's talk about Kanye West for and use him
Good
as an example.
Yeah, he sells swastikas.
I had
on
somebody
t-shirts.
I'm in this like chat group for people in the music, in just tastemakers in music, and they're constantly sending music, and I don't really participate in the chat so much, but occasionally they'll send something and I'll be able to discover some new music or whatever. Okay, somebody in there posted a link to Kanye West's new album, and I wrote, "Fuck Kanye West."
Yeah, he's a Nazi.
And
Sympathizer.
someone was like, well, I didn't mean for it to be divisive, just enjoy the music. And I'm like, fuck the music and fuck him. Like, no thank you. And so I would say that, like, and I got some heat for that from these folks. This is a good song.
This is a segue to something else, but I am interested in this conversation because can you separate the art from the artist?
See, like, that's what I see. On one hand, I can't. I feel like Kanye has had too many chances.
And he's not just problematic the way many an artist is problematic in 2025. He's selling T-shirts with swastikas
I know.
on it.
And like, then one of the guys in the group was like, oh, he's just trolling. And I'm like, great troll. I mean, like, so genius. Like what a great way to troll people, to like stir up Nazi, you can say that Elon Musk did a Nazi salute, but Kanye West actually says it out loud and wears swastikas and puts it on his building,
right? And
et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I can't be down with that.
No.
Now, I don't feel like Ross Atkins has done anything to make me have to separate him from his work.
No. But when you criticize a baseball decision from the general manager, you're not saying this guy's an asshole, this guy's stupid, this guy's a loser.
I never said that the Blue Jays never made like a bad move. Like, that is over. You guys are over exaggerating and embellishing that, but because it makes for good radio, But in reality,
we're entertainers, Stu.
Yeah, but in reality, I will say that for someone, and I've heard this expression, and this is something that Mike Wilner and anybody else should listen to, that once the general manager starts thinking like the fans, he becomes one of the fans and ends up watching it from the stands with the fans. They know what they're doing. That's why they're there. They know more than we do. They know more about the inner workings and what's going on behind the scenes than we do. They know more than we do. They have more information about the subject than we do.
In Ross, you trust.
I do trust him. I do. Has he done everything perfectly? Of course not. Nobody has. But I would say that more often than not, I think he's made the right moves. More often than not. And I can point to some great things that he has done.
Okay, one last question on this, and I want to ask you about this.
And I think the Blue Jays, for the record, are a playoff team this year.
But almost half the teams get in now. Like, it's possible they.
I feel like they're gonna they're gonna have a great year, and Bo Bichette's gonna have a great year, and obviously Vlad is gonna have a good year. I hope. I think this is an exciting time to be a Blue Jays fan, and I know you said you checked out, but you might want to consider checking back in.
Well, it's funny. I checked out, but I'll be at the Dome Saturday.
I would consider checking back in because I think it's going to be an exciting year for the Blue Jays.
Do you hear that sound right there? That.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm actually playing this for a reason, not just because Michael Jackson is problematic.
I'm a lover, not a fighter.
Here's why I'm playing it.
I've heard it all before, Michael. She told me that.
I've heard it all before, Michael. So I'm bringing down The Girl Is Mine. That's on Thriller. I'm sure you had multiple copies of Thriller.
Great album.
Great album. I had, again, you were booked for a month ago. You got COVID. We postponed it. So a fresh episode at the time that you were originally going to be here, which is like a month ago, I had on a guy named Amin Batia. Okay? His name is Amin Batia. I want you to listen to, Stu, I want you to listen to 2.5 minutes of me talking to Amin about that song you just heard. You ready, Stu?
Yep.
So you can check in on, tell people to go to live.torontomike.com if they want more. We're just warming up here. This is Amin Batia on Toronto Mike.
shows up about 4 or 5 times on the track.
Every night she walks right.
It's like a wind chime or something.
Since I met her
Vocalize it. Can you vocalize it?
It's like turn
That
the
little thing
page.
at the very top. It shows up a couple more times in the song.
So do you appear in the credits for the album Thriller?
Oh, I wish. Okay. No, I was an intern for David Foster. So
Holy shit.
It's a mixed blessing of thank you, David Foster, for introducing me to LA, and David Foster, why didn't you put my credits on the album? I am credited on Keyboard Magazine. Rob talked about that, and I think at the time Keyboard was talking about how they used 8 keyboardists on Thriller, which at the time was unbelievable that had that many keyboard people.
Because
involved.
keyboards were
And I
also
guess
new back then,
technically
right?
The 8th one. So this song, if you look it up later on, there's a song by Lionel. Was it on Lionel Richie's album? No, it was on someone else's, Al Jarreau's album.
Oh yeah, of
And it's a
course.
song
I
called
know the
Morning.
song Morning. Yeah, that's the
And
same
it's based on
sound.
an
It's almost the
instrumental
same
track
song.
that David Foster was playing. David had heard some of my earlier tapes from a Roland competition, and he really liked the synths and the tape things that I was doing, and so he flew me to
It's
LA.
pretty
I
much the
lived
same
in his
song.
house for a week. And he had a 24-track studio in his basement.
You
which
lived in
had
David
never-
Foster's
I
home
did.
for a week.
I did in David Foster's home for a week. Thank you, David.
I would have you on just for that. Okay, we could just talk about Tears Are Not Enough.
That's pretty amazing. Actually, the thing I think is amazing is when he had Natalie Cole singing with Nat King Cole. What a brilliant idea, and how beautiful that must have been for her, for his daughter to be singing with her dad, through the magic of tape. I thought that he's an amazing guy. He's an absolutely amazing guy. But this little effect was actually meant for another song. And, when you're in a studio and you got to quickly come up with something to please, Quincy, he just grabbed this from that. It's a sample, I guess, if you will. They tried to recreate it, but they didn't know what the synth was. So
Do
they
you have
just
the outro
used
song?
that. I can tell you now officially it is a Jupiter 8 synth.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody wondered about the sequencer that was used because the Jupiter 8 doesn't have a sequencer. And how did you get multiple voicings on the Jupiter 8? Quite simply, it's a pair of notes. I just basically played a major triad chromatically coming down. So everybody was trying to duplicate it on sequencers and computers and stuff, but I basically just kind of played it in.
That's so cool.
This bell-like sound.
I would come on your
They
show
should
just to
have
talk about
credited
stuff like this every
It
week.
would have been, yes. It
And
would
I
have
would
been
do
nice.
that.
It would have been
So
nice.
did you receive,
keyboard. Did I what?
receive a penny?
No.
Because I heard that album sold a few units.
I know. But
That album sold blowing up type numbers.
Yeah, right. I'll say something really quickly. Like,
Yeah,
I
then
hope,
I'm going to play Morning. You want to hear Morning?
Morning is almost the same song as The Girl's Mind. It's almost the exact same song.
Okay, so again, Amin Batia is talking about how he's on The Girl Is Mine, which is on Thriller, but he's uncredited, and he talked about Al Jarreau's Morning.
Yeah, of course. And it's almost the same song.
Hey,
Now, just to say, this Michael Jackson music on the Thriller album is no stranger, and Michael Jackson Off the Wall even is no stranger to borrowing other people's songs, because this may have been on a Pandemic Friday before, but Rod Temperton, the guy that wrote Thriller and a bunch of stuff, he's in the group Heatwave, which sounds exactly like Off the Wall. Like, I can find that, you can pull it up, but let me see. Hold on. But let's listen to this. This is great.
My baby said she loves me, and need I tell you that everything here is just fine.
Find the song Boogie Nights.
The God doggone girl is mine. Okay, I'll look up Boogie Nights.
Boogie Nights by Heatwave. It sounds exactly like Off the Wall, Michael Jackson. It's the same story as this. I love this. By the way, I like this Al Jarreau song.
Searching high and low.
It's the same fucking song.
At last I know.
There it is again. So what's the moral of the story here? Oh, is this Heatwave? Okay. Check this out, because this is Off the Wall Michael Jackson to a T. Obviously not this intro, but...
Too hot to handle, too cold to hold.
Toronto Mike in the morning. This is some
That
Heatwave.
Kingston show you were going to get
Should've.
got shuttered. It's gone.
same music.
What an age. Listen, this is a long-winded, so I wanted you to hear the Amin Batia, because when he talks about Thriller and Michael Jackson and Mornin and Al Jarreau, I think about you. Like, I'm like, Stu would enjoy this.
I love it.
But Rob Bruce, do you know the name Rob Bruce?
Of course. Mr. Spoon.
Some say he replaced you on Toast.
But
I think you're irreplaceable.
I think he's done a formidable job. And the outro that he recorded for you, that's him, right?
That's him.
That's unbelievable.
He recorded something for your appearance on Toronto Mike this month.
What?
So I am going to play it for you right now.
Hey, Mike, it's Burlington Rob. I loved your chat with Amin Batia, a thin tortilla. And when you mentioned that you and Stu would be going over some of the coolness today, I made this little recording, which I was going to share with you, of the bit that he talked about, that he used his synthesizer on Michael Jackson's song, The Girl Is Mine, which David Foster basically stole a sample, borrowed a sample from an Al Jarreau song that Amin had worked on. The song is called Mornin'. And as soon as he mentioned it on your show, I recognized it. I knew exactly what he was talking about.
Yeah, me too.
So I made a little clip of Michael Jackson and a little clip of Al Jarreau. And I'll point them out when you hear them. But it's so obvious and it's hilarious. The two songs sound almost exactly the same. Okay, here it comes. I'm now in my studio at home again. I
love this guy.
Sitting in a diner this morning, and I've just realized that my microphone can be stereo.
Oh, wow,
So
look
now
at
I'm
that.
over here,
It's going
and then I
left
can
and
walk
right.
all the way back over to here. But that's not what I'm talking about. Here comes the Michael Jackson song. You will hear the intro to The Girl Is Mine. Yep. Here comes the sound. Ready? Go. That's the sound. That little twinkly descending sounds like stars falling. Okay. This is Al Jarreau, Mornin'. We know the song. Here comes the sound. It's coming up right now. Same sound. David Foster sampled that sound and added it into The Girl Is Mine. Comes back up. How cool is that? Anyways, that's my little musical interlude, my musical interpretation. And there it is. So back to you, Mike and Stu. Ciao.
I think this should be the show, like where we chat about all the stuff going on, and we have recordings like that from the producers of the TMU and stuff like that.
And the fact that he knew that I would like geek out over that stuff, he knows. That's why he's a great Toast host, because he knows the seat that he's successfully and filled and then some. And so shout out to Rob.
Shout out to Rob Bruce, and shout out to Bob Willett.
Of course. And look how he's doing.
He's 6 days a week. He's saving radio single-handedly.
Do you know that I am so happy about that? I think that it is so tremendous that a guy who we saw who was probably feeling like he was kicked in the stomach at one point, he was back in the basement, so to speak. Not this basement, his own basement.
This basement.
Such a great guy, such a great just an inspirational sort of story this is. Here's a guy that felt like he had maybe his time had come and gone. And he has somehow got his way from doing I don't know the specifics, but like the weekend midnight shift to now he's like 6 days a week. Like this guy is the man.
He's the Liberal Party of Canada.
Yeah, the comeback king. Forget Corey Feldman. It's all about Bob. I will say congratulations to Bob. I'm very happy for him and excited for him. And this is not a coming out of the woodworks sort of celebratory thing. I watch his content. I click like on his stuff when I see it on socials. Very happy for Bob, and he's kicking ass. And Rob, you cannot state how creative Rob is for, like I said, that outro that he made for you is so tremendous.
And we'll listen to it together at the end of this.
We will. But those are two great guys, and I'm very excited for them, both for Toast being so successful, but also for their own individual efforts that are paying off.
And for those who are new, or maybe you're just tuning in, or maybe you're just sliding in as a FOSS, it's worth noting that it's not like Stu and Cam Gordon were replaced. For a variety of reasons, both Stu Stone and Cam Gordon needed to stop doing Toast. Like, you basically were in the States filming Dark Side of the Ring.
Right.
And then sometimes you're filming your own movies, like Don't Fuck with Ghosts.
Yes.
All of which we're going to talk about. Cam had a whole, looking for a new gig type deal. He seems to be very happy in his current job.
What's his current job?
Seneca College.
What's he doing there?
He's back at school. He's like Rodney Dangerfield.
Adam Sandler?
Yeah, he's Adam Sandler /
What's he doing, though? Is he the head of comms there?
Yeah, I think so.
Good for him.
And I will point out on Tuesday, which is April 1st, he's no April Fool. Cam Gordon's back here in the basement for FOTM Cast. Every quarter, he comes in with Tyler Campbell, the VP of Sales, to recap the previous quarter. And I'll be honest with you, I was looking at what's happened in the past quarter in the TMU, the Toronto Mike Universe. It's bananas. Like, it's CNN, it's Charlie Angus, it's Scott Thompson.
Yeah.
There's a guy named Alan Gregg who at the time we thought this is the greatest, and then it's like, oh yeah, that's a footnote now. Most amazing quarter, and I was on this hour has 22 minutes.
I saw that too.
So this was quite a quarter.
Yeah, this is listen, you're just getting
Stu's
started
back.
here. You're just getting started, baby.
And we played Let's Get Our Word in here during the last toast.
I'm happy to hear that Cam is happy.
Yeah.
And
he's
I
happy.
see MF on television all the time. This Trump thing has been good for her brand. Gives her something to talk about.
What are your thoughts? I'm just curious what Stu Stone, I know you're a proud Canadian, but you spend so much time in the US of A. What are your thoughts on the fact we're in a trade war with our one-time closest ally?
It doesn't seem to make a lot of sense, Michael. I don't understand why. It's like, and I'm sure other people have made the same kind of comparison, but like you have like a really great neighbor and they're, if you ever need to borrow sugar, they're there for you. When I was in LA and the LA was on fire, Canada sent
literally
planes to come put it out. With this is a kind of a figure of speech, but there's been sort of it's like the largest open border basically on planet Earth is between Canada and the United States.
Longest undefended border.
And we've always been supportive of USA, and we've definitely been the punchline of USA, but like happily, we've accepted our little brother status in a lot of ways when it comes to like them making their jokes. But we've always kind of known where we stand, and we've kind of always been sort of respectful of, we've been a great neighbor. So now a new guy buys the house, moves in, and all of a sudden, like, he doesn't want to hang out with the neighbor.
Not only does he not want to be best friends anymore, he kind of wants to be enemies.
You know what? I feel like chaos is part of the brand, the Trump brand. And I don't know how much of this is political theater and how much of it is real. I guess we'll find out in April when these tariffs are either happening or not happening. But I will say that, it's a bit of a shell game going on here. It's like a bit of a misdirection a lot of the times. If he can put 20 things in the headlines every day, then it's hard to keep up with what's happening. And then you don't even know what's happening that we're not even hearing about. So part of the strategy of him is to create chaos. And a lot of it is probably trolling. He knows that he can say stuff and it'll rile people up and get them talking about that instead of something else. I don't know. I don't think that it's going to be helpful for anybody in the end, and I hope that it's going to come to some sort of amicable conclusion. I don't know what the election in Canada is going to
April 28th.
Solve it or not solve it, but I don't know what the approach is with this guy, because like he said that this is about fentanyl, then it isn't about fentanyl, then it's about this, and now it's about 200% tariffs on cheese or whatever he's saying. It's like every day it changes, Mike.
But he had said to at least one reporter, he said he wanted to devastate us economically so we'd come crawling to him to be the 51st state.
I don't think that's going, I'm not a prognosticator, Mike. I'm not a psychic. But I would say that and by the way, I could be, you never know in this world.
All bets are off.
All bets are off. But like,
Bodog says no more betting.
I would say that Canada's probably going to stay Canada. Like, I don't see a scenario where we become the 51st state, as funny as it is to Trump. But you know what? I will say this. He is a remarkable guy, and I've said the word remarkable a few times here to describe various things today, but I do think it's very fitting to describe him specifically. Love him or hate him, and a lot of people do love him or hate him. He's very polarizing, obviously, but it is quite remarkable to see where he was in 2020 to where he is now. The comeback that was made is remarkable, Mike. This guy was literally face down in the water, and he's the president now, and he won the popular vote, Mike. It's unbelievable that we saw that happen. And you can love him or hate him, but you at least have to acknowledge that is a incredible, good or bad, that is an incredible thing that we witnessed, and you'll probably never see anything like that again.
Well, two things. One is never underestimate the misogyny coming out of the populace. And
It's absolutely crazy. And you have people, I'm not saying that I like him or don't like him. It's irrelevant at this point. We just have him. And like, it's obvious what I think about him, but like, I don't have to say it out loud. But I'm saying that it's remarkable. It's remarkable what he has done, and the chaos that he's sowing now. I mean, like, that's what people voted for. So that's what you're going to get. This is what the people wanted. And he's doing what he said he was going to do, which is what he's doing. So, I mean, the good news or bad news, depending on which side of the aisle you sit on, is that, there's midterms that come up 2 years into this thing. And if, the Democratic Party, who are in shambles at the moment, can figure something out, maybe they come up with a way to like take some of the power out of his hands so that he can do all this stuff. But I don't know. I honestly, you can't predict anymore anything about the United States. And it is truly, they will be talking about this man in the history books for completely different reasons than we would have had he not won the election this year. I feel like his legacy has completely changed. Whether it's positive or negative, it is completely changed.
Okay, but you're. I know you spend a lot of time in the USA, and I respect that.
I'm not defending the USA like I defend Ross.
Even at home, because you keep saying love him or hate him. Like you are.
In Canada, you can't really like him.
In this country,
I get it. Sure.
Overwhelmingly,
yes, of course,
anti-Trump, and yeah.
I mean, I can't argue with the sentiment that is going on currently in Canada towards this gentleman, for sure. He is causing problems here for sure. But I don't know. Like, is that just posturing? Is that just theater? Is that just a way to sort of misdirect?
But regardless of whether it's posturing or not,
it's not nice.
Real life effects.
Of course.
In terms of
completely agree.
Anxiety, for example.
For sure.
Canadian anxiety is higher because we have to worry about the most powerful military in the world having a commander-in-chief who wants to make us a part of their country.
I don't think that there's like a military takeover of Canada that we need to worry about. But again,
all bets are off.
All bets are off. But
like, fuck this guy that I have to worry about whether the tanks are going to roll.
I don't think the tanks are going to roll. That's a bit extreme.
Whose side are you on if they roll?
Obviously, come on, man. I'm elbows up, brother. But I will say that that it's frustrating for sure. It's not easy. It's frustrating, and the best thing to do, and I hate to say it, is to be an ostrich and put your head in the sand. That's like
it's easier to do when there's no tariffs. Applied.
Well, you don't have to pay a tariff to stick your head in the sand unless you're using American sand. But I will say it's like, and this is not necessarily good advice, but I feel like the people who have stopped paying attention are living a happier existence. Although it is almost impossible to not pay attention when it's actually affecting Canada.
Yeah, you can't ignore this. That was my plan November.
And I'm not.
November 5th?
I see your chat saying that I'm threading a line to make sure I can still work in the U.S. That is not the case, okay? I am an American citizen.
Although
I don't have a problem working in the U.S.
too. I'm learning.
I can cross the border whenever I want. It's not about being American or being Canadian. I was born in Canada. I love Canada. I'm Team Canada, okay? Let's just get that straight.
I'm glad to hear this.
But I will say that, there's 99 things that Trump does that I don't agree with, and there's one thing that he does that I do like. And I'll just leave it at that.
Can I say, do you know this? There's a person on the live stream I'm about to block because I just don't want to see his shit on my site, but he goes by the name Guy Smiley. Do you have any friends or acquaintances you've messaged who go by the nickname Guy Smiley? A great character from Sesame Street?
I don't know who Guy Smiley is, but I am seeing what you're seeing, and like, listen, let's just address what Mr. Smiley is saying, because that is a narrative from the other side. That is a narrative that the other side that you are on has. That they
so Guy Smiley wrote in the chat where there's wonderful people like YYZ Gord and Jeremy Hopkin, and Cam Brio is there, and the original Foss.
Cam Brio, baby.
Hey Ref 1236. A lot of good FOTMs I'll be seeing at TMLX 18 on June 26th at Great Lakes Brewery. I cannot wait. But Guy Smiley writes 4 more years, which by the way would violate the Constitution. So that's a whole separate discussion. He's had his 2 fucking terms, right? So that's a whole different conversation. Is he a dictator now? 4 more years? Is he Putin?
You got to stop buying into the panic.
Okay. Well, Guy Smiley, right? I'm just quoting Guy Smiley here. 4 more years. Canada is a bunch of pussies. What do you, Stu Stone, have to say to Guy Smiley, who I know came in on the Foss train? He's not an FOTM.
I don't think that Canada is a bunch of P words, as he says, especially not in the Four Nations finals. That was fantastic.
Amazing, right?
But listen, man, it is in wrestling. Let's bring it into wrestling here.
Okay, I'm ready to segue over.
In the 1990s, the late 1990s, 1997, when WWF at the time was trailing to WCW at the time. Do you remember WCW, Mike?
World Championship Wrestling.
World Championship Wrestling was
Ric Flair was there.
dominating in the ratings, 83 weeks or whatever it was. WWF decided to do an angle, as they say, where Bret Hart would become a Canadian patriot. And it did big business. And in the United States, people were booing Canada. And in Canada, people were booing the United States. And it was a big storyline and big business and got patriotism. Ironically, wrestling garnered a lot of patriotism in Canada. I feel like Trump has always been wrestling. And a lot of his playbook comes from wrestling. And this could be what we're looking at right here. The silver lining to what he's doing, if you can find one. And I'm a pretty reasonable guy, Mike. We've had a lot since we started doing Pandemic Fridays. Think about all of the crazy shit that's gone on in the world, from the pandemic to protests and riots and all the other shit that went down.
Ukraine was invaded October 7th.
A lot of stuff, and I've been pretty reasonable with my takes, especially knowing coming on your show and a platform that CNN is listening to, and I'm trying to garner maybe I'll become a pundit if I get the right soundbite out here. But my point is that the silver lining, if there is one, is that Canadian pride is at an all-time high right now because of this. And Canadians, this whole Team Canada thing, that's a thing that we have not seen and experienced in this country for a long, long time. So silver lining, if there is one, it's that you are more proud to be Canadian outwardly than you were yesterday. Am I wrong about that?
I'm going to agree with you 100% that we should send a thank you card to Donald J. Trump. What did it take to get Quebec to be proud Canadians?
That's what I'm saying. It's like you have politicians that you never thought would getting along. Not maybe the two at the top of the ticket,
nothing
but
unites
I'm saying,
the people like a common enemy.
That's what I'm trying to say. So it's like the silver lining here is that, like, in the end of all of this, Canada is going to be more united than the United States, which is quite divided.
Right. They're on the brink of a civil war.
Well, again, this is all hyperbole. Is that how you say that word?
Yeah, hyperbole.
Look at that. So silver.
You're coming to me with how to pronounce words.
Silver lining.
Have you heard Toronto Mic'd?
I think that Canada will be fine in the end, Mike. I just like life will go on, and life always does go on. People.
Life finds a way.
Jeff
Goldblum.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Now, I mentioned in passing my humble brag that I was on This Hour Has 22 Minutes, which got lost in the CNN thunder, okay? So let's not forget. But they took a clip of me and Charlie Angus that was recorded in this basement from my YouTube channel, and they aired it without attribution. Firstly, that's bullshit, right? They should put like Toronto Mic'd on the screen, right?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. So this is a long build-up. I'm going to play a very short clip of Charlie Angus on Toronto Mic'd, and I'm wondering what Stu Stone has to say about this.
Well, I think back in the day, I probably watched every one of Wayne Gretzky's games. I hated the Boston Bruins, but boy, I cried when Bobby Orr couldn't play anymore, But when Donald Trump announced that he wanted to run Wayne Gretzky as this puppet candidate, I thought, that's what Putin does.
Yep.
Putin creates these puppet candidates that he's running. This isn't what you do in a democracy, and Wayne Gretzky should be ashamed of himself. absolutely ashamed of himself. Don't bother coming back to Canada if you're even willing to consider being a puppet candidate. You should do the decent thing and say, in no way would I ever undermine my country. Wayne, you failed us.
Stu, you and I are similar vintage, which means we grew up idolizing the great one.
You know, you live long enough to see yourself become the heel. You know, John Cena, baby.
Batman.
I would say that. Now I don't know. Like, was Donald Trump's like anti-Canada rhetoric happening, and then we've seen Gretzky like palling with him since then?
No, well, he was at Mar-a-Lago on election night.
Okay, well, I mean, I think we're past the days of like hating people for who they like.
But no, hold on. I'm only interjecting because we're not hating Gretzky for being a Trumper necessarily.
'Cause I don't think you can hate someone for liking.
I think the reason Charlie Angus is saying things like that, and I've been calling Wendell Clark the Great One because someone now needs to assume the mantle of Great One. It's got to be Wendell, okay? I'm saying the problem is that he was spotted wearing the MAGA hat. He's been to Mar-a-Lago. He's clearly a friend of Trump, according to Trump himself. And since the 51st state rhetoric, which Trump has brought him into, saying he should be the governor of the 51st state, Wayne Gretzky has said absolutely zero on the subject. He has not issued a statement. He has not said a single word.
So when you have people like Mike Wilner criticizing me for my friendship with Ross, look at that.
He's not criticizing you for your friendship with Ross. He's saying,
I'm saying Wayne is the same thing. It's like the same thing. Like
right.
Wayne has his buddy Donald that he probably golfs with.
Yeah, but one is baseball.
Yeah.
The other is our sovereignty.
Right. I will say that it's disappointing to say that. It's disappointing, obviously. I'm sad about that because Wayne Gretzky is the greatest. Now, Wayne Gretzky is about to get passed by a Russian guy, Ovechkin. Are people going to be upset about that? Because Alexander Ovechkin has repeatedly said that he likes, he's a Putin guy. Not specifically for invading Ukraine or anything like that, but he's planning on finishing his career from what I've read and heard in the KHL. He's a proud Russian.
He's a Putin sip. Yeah, he had the picture of Putin on his social media profile way after the invasion of Ukraine.
So are you upset with Ovechkin? Because people are celebrating him still.
Yeah, yes, of course. But Ovechkin, yes, we're upset with Ovechkin as well.
Okay.
He's also not welcome in this country.
Okay. You know what? I think that like booing the national anthem and making threats to Donald Trump from our politicians, that's not going to solve this. I think that Canada is classier than that. We've always been sort of carrying ourselves in a very classy kind of way, and I think we're above that. It's fun to boo, and it's fun to criticize, and it's fun to say things like to ramp up, get people all riled up. But I think that, at the end of the day, we're going to rise above this. Canada will be okay. There could be tough times ahead, which I hope there isn't. But I do think we'll be okay.
And when we go to war, you're going to be wearing the red and white. There will be
I don't think we're going to go to war. But but if we go to war on the hockey rink, then I think we're going to win.
Well, we always do, right? Andy says, Ovi is a proud Russian, but Wayne is not a proud Canadian. That's it.
Yeah, I see that. I don't know if Wayne is not a proud Canadian, but it's definitely a difficult spot for him.
Well, then he's lost his ability to communicate because he hasn't said boo.
Yeah, he's definitely lost the plot. As far as like the damage to his brand here in Canada, that's definitely happened. I agree with that. And if I was working with Wayne and I was his manager or his agent or his PR person, I would do everything in my power to try to get him to sort of eradicate whatever ill will he has towards him. Because as someone personally who owns a Wayne Gretzky rookie card, the value of that card is worth the most in Canada because Canada has hockey fans. So if Canadians stop liking him, then my card is going to go down in value.
Well, it's not technically a rookie card.
Well, his NHL rookie card.
His NHL first year.
Sure. His 79 PG card, which I have. That's going to plummet in value worse than Tesla stock if he keeps this up. So, Wayne, get it together, man.
Speaking of powerful brands, can I send you home with a Palma pasta lasagna?
You can try.
Do you know, sadly, shout out to Ridley Funeral Home.
Oh, no. What are you about to tell me?
Palma died last week.
What?
Yeah, this is serious, Mike, here. Palma, 96 years young, I believe. Palma passed away Palma Petrucci, the namesake for Palma Pasta, named after the matriarch of the family, Palma Petrucci, passed away last week.
That's terrible.
I know.
Palma Pasta way. That's what you just said.
I did say that.
Yes.
Sometimes I'm too clever for my own good. But
that is sad. I mean, obviously 96, hell of a run.
Hell of a run. And her husband of many decades, Marsilio, he had just passed away 7 months ago at the age of 100.
Wow. Well,
So
listen.
mom and pop gone in 7 months.
Well, listen, there's a lesson to be learned here that you eat Palma Pasta, you're going to live a long life.
It's the sauce.
They're 196.
Yeah.
That's pretty good runs.
So our condolences to the Petrucci family.
Definitely condolences. Lovely folks and lovely pastas.
Delicious.
They've actually repackaged their pasta from what I've seen.
Yeah, they're now, some Longos are selling the lasagnas.
So congratulations to them on that. But obviously condolences on the loss. And I'll say this, even though someone lived to 96 and it's like they had a hell of a run, when my Auntie Sandy passed away.
FOTM, Auntie Sandy.
She was 96 years old, I believe, as well. And I still wanted more.
Right.
And I'm sure they felt the same way about their loved one. It's sad. My condolences. Shout out to the Palma's family.
Shout out to the Petrucci family. We lost Palma Pasta. Shout out to Ridley Funeral Home. Subscribe to Brad's podcast, Life's Undertaking. It's a great podcast. Brad from Ridley Funeral Home. He sent over the measuring tape for you, Stu Stone. You can measure. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think I got to measure how tall I am, right?
How tall are you?
Well, didn't you say
What's
you were going to...
What's the film production called? 5'7" Films?
This bit where you pretend not to know is really fun. I don't think this measuring tape goes high enough to measure me.
5'7".
Are we measuring downstairs or are we measuring like my whole...
My last guest was a woman from No More Noise, Toronto. Her name's Ingrid, and she made a dick joke when I gave her the measuring tape. She was looking for 6 inches, she told me.
Well, good luck.
What do you pack in there, Stu?
See,
We know about your...
I'm taller than this. So whatever this is, I'm taller than the maximum length.
Listen, you're talking to a guy who's 5'9", so no judgment from me here, okay? And also, I'm a dear friend of FOTM Hall of Famer Peter Gross here. So I do want to quickly shout out Building Toronto Skyline. Nick Iones is the newest sponsor of Toronto Mike, and he's got a great podcast called Building Toronto Skyline. Thank you, Nick. He was on Toronto Mike a few weeks ago. And last but not least, you know about recyclemyelectronics.ca, don't you? So that's where you go if you have old cables, old electronics. Recyclemyelectronics.ca.
Yes.
Okay, I'm playing something. Again, we are going to get to Dark Side of the Ring. We're going to get to the movie. We got lots to cover. But I'm going to play something vintage from the early 80s, and I'm hoping you'll give us a deeper dive into this. I don't think we've ever properly covered this through the many, many, many appearances of Stu Stone on Toronto Mike. Let's listen to this.
I love my Kraft Dinner with
hot dogs.
I love my Kraft Dinner with
Meatloaf.
I love my Kraft Dinner with
chopsticks.
Everybody loves Kraft Dinner macaroni and cheese, the only one made with Kraft cheese. And only Kraft cheese could make macaroni taste this good with everything.
I love my Kraft Dinner with
My dad.
You know, even hearing it now, I kind of choke up and say, I loved it at the time. I was like similar age, as we discussed. And that kid who said my dad, what a cute kid. Do you know who that kid was?
I do. Obviously, that's me, Mike. I'm the my dad kid. The Kraft Dinner commercial. I will say that the memories that I do have of it, there are some memories. Like I do remember.
How old were you?
Young. I was probably
like 4?
14 or 15 at the time. No. No, I was probably like 6 years old or something, 5 or 6 years old.
Yeah, 5 or, yeah.
But I do remember that they were serving us Kraft Dinner there, and there was like a garbage can next to that I could like spit out the Kraft Dinner in between takes if I wanted to.
Right.
But I liked Kraft Dinner, so I don't remember doing too much spitting out.
And it wasn't cold? But it doesn't matter because Kraft Dinner is good cold.
It is good cold. It's good. Kraft Dinner is delicious. Now, the funny part about that commercial is that they're sort of advertising Kraft Dinner as a side dish in that commercial. That, you know, if you
because
really,
it's with hot dogs, with meatloaf,
and
right.
whereas like Canadians, Kraft Dinner is the main course. So I think they missed the boat on that one. But I will say that at the time and for many years after that, that was the most famous thing that I had ever been a part of.
Yes.
Bigger than Heavenly Bodies, bigger than all of them, because that commercial ran for years, all day.
Yeah.
And people would come up to me and say, like, say my dad. Like
say the line.
Yeah.
Like on The Simpsons.
Yes.
Say the line.
And so I was definitely like Kraft Dinner famous for at least 3 to 4 years off of that. And there's still people of a certain vintage, Mike, like your age, that will run into me now as an adult and bring that commercial up. The ironic part, and I said this in Jack of All Trades, is that I actually never ate Kraft Dinner with my own dad.
Right.
Jack
Eisenstein.
Yes, but I definitely remember the commercial, and I had it was huge. It was massive, and I probably made more money off that commercial probably than I did off anything else because there was residuals involved.
But did you see that, or your parents kept that too?
But you know what?
Gary Coleman divorced his parents, didn't he?
Yeah, I would have divorced my parents after that one had I known.
Emancipation.
But I will say that that was the biggest thing that I did, and still one of the biggest things I've done, just based on the fact that, like, you think you're CNN famous. I was Kraft Dinner famous and that was a hell of a run.
I agree.
Like at school, teachers would come from other classes and it was.
I'm only a couple years, although it depends on your source for the Stu Stone birth year, but I'm a couple of years older than you, a few years older than you. You're not yet 50. I have cleared that demarcation line. But that I remember as a kid, that ad all the time.
Yeah.
And it was very memorable because it was catchy, but it was sweet.
It was sweet and
even
wholesome.
though it didn't necessarily, life didn't imitate art. Shout out to Art Bergman, but which I learned from Jack of All Trades many decades later. I still can't believe you're in my life. I owe that to Cam Gordon, who I completely ignored for not decades, but for years I completely ignored.
And that
Cam
was the
Gordon.
name of his brand was completely ignored.
Right, that's what I'm doing there. I'm playing 3D chess over here, Stu.
You
Ever
are.
since CNN, I'm on a different plane.
I see that.
I'm on a plane.
Yes, great song.
Great. Okay, speaking of great songs, I have to get the story on this real quick.
This is so fun, just being here, just doing this with you.
Just warming up.
Love and marriage go together like a horse and carriage. This I tell you, brother, you can't have one without the other.
Now, of course, me playing this Frank Sinatra ditty means this episode has X number of days left before Spotify removes it. This is something I've lived and learned, but I'm okay with that because you can hear this episode many other places. But can you give me the definitive true story? How close were you to being Bud Bundy on Married with Children?
That's really funny. Who told you that?
Yes, sir. This is like when they were, the chat where they were giving up the war plans to the journalist, and they were called in front of Congress or whatever to answer these questions, and they ask these very specific questions, and then the person tries to evade, and they're
That's really funny.
So, how close were you, Stu Stone, to being Bud Bundy?
I don't think it's reasonable to say I was close to being Bud Bundy, but I will say that I was cast to be in Married with Children, and I did not have a visa to work in the United States at that point and could not do it. So that's the story behind that. But I definitely was had a role that was ready to go to be on the show.
And like a friend of Bud?
It was supposed to be someone that was like in love, like someone who would be following Kelly around and have a crush on Kelly.
You would have killed
and tried to take Kelly to the prom. I don't know who they ended up casting in that role, but that kid ended up being in a few episodes. But I was definitely I was right there, Mike. I was right there.
I played that Kraft Dinner ad that we played 10 minutes ago. I played it for my youngest daughter, who's now turning 9 and has this newfound desire to be in like movies and do theater. And
wow.
Like she's taking singing lessons. Like,
That's
I don't know
cool.
where this, I think she watched High School Musical.
There you go.
That's all it took. Okay. But I showed her
which is a horrible movie.
You know what? My oldest daughter loved it the first round, and now they remade it with Olivia Rodrigo.
Oh, they did?
So she did go back and see the old one with Vanessa Hudgens, which is the one my oldest daughter was into when she was watching a lot of Disney Channel. So they keep kind of serving it.
Something funny about Bud Bundy.
Yeah.
David
Faustino.
Yeah. I will say that he had a longer run on Married with Children for sure as Bud Bundy. But I think that me and Jamie Kennedy sold more rap records than he did with his. He was a rapper at one point. I don't know if you knew that. He had a rap song in an album. Brian Austin Green also had a rap album that was produced by maybe even the guys from the Far Side. I want to say produced it.
Was it better than Kevin Federline's album?
Yes.
Your rap album sold 300,000 units.
That's what they say, Mike. But
I had Patrick Pentland from Sloan here last week.
I almost didn't bring that up.
No, but I thought about it. Do I tell him?
Don't tell him
that Rollin' with Saget and circle dot. Which, by the way, but bangers. Back to Morgan really quickly. I played that Kraft Dinner ad on YouTube, and I said the kid, and she likes it, and this cute kid at the end with the curly hair, whatever. And I tell her the mind blow, which is that boy grew up to be Stu Stone.
That's really funny.
She did not she simply couldn't believe. She didn't believe it. Like that's Stu Stone. Like it was too much for her.
I think it's crazy that. Oh, you know what? Like that Kraft Dinner thing, like I said, I was like Kraft Dinner famous. The only thing comparable to that back when I was a kid would have been My Pet Monster because like that was such a big show. But like, you know, people would come up to me and like literally just call me Chucky. Like they wouldn't even call me by name anymore. But there was a difference because like you'd have to know me to know that I was Chucky. And for the Kraft Dinner, like you could just see like the commercial was on so often that it was almost recognizable. It definitely got me more attention. That's for sure.
Well, now I'm thinking around the same era, maybe a little earlier, but around that same age, Life Cereal had a series of commercials.
Mikey likes it.
Right. And I was a Mikey, so I was really paying attention.
Oh, that's good.
Right. So I was a Mike. Well, close enough. Mikey likes it. And then I remember years later, adult Mikey came back to do an ad like Mikey still likes it or something. And I think Kraft Dinner, if they're listening, should bring you back and maybe you're eating the Kraft Dinner
with my son
with an urn.
No, but they could have like me with like some kid playing my son saying my dad, and like I'm the guy now. My kid likes eating it with his dad.
But isn't this a great idea?
It is. Like if someone from Kraft is listening, which they probably are because this is the highest rated podcast, I will say that you should do the commercial. I would be willing to do it. We should bring back that. I think you'd probably have to recast the segment with the chopsticks. That's a little problematic now.
But they're Asian.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just a little on the nose. But I would say that I would like to say that I would be willing to do that commercial for sure. For sure. Kraft, if you're listening, and when we did Jack of All Trades, by the way, and I cleared that commercial to get on and be a part of the movie, they were happy to do it. So maybe this can happen, Mike.
We're going to make it happen. VP of Sales wrote in to...
Wait, before you say that, there's a thriller mind blow that I've discovered recently.
This is breaking news.
When you picture the Michael Jackson cover of Thriller, what's he wearing?
White.
White what?
Isn't it like a white suit? Like a tux, almost like I feel like it's a dressy kind of suit. Like black pants maybe, white socks, white top?
Try again.
Okay.
Picture it's iconic. You're close.
I know. I'm trying to, but I can see him. It's a white and a black. I don't think there's any other color in there.
It is.
So it's a black top. White. I feel like there's white socks with a black
it's like a white tuxedo. You think?
Yeah, help me out.
With like a black tuxedo.
You're gonna tell me he's wearing a Hawaiian shirt?
No, I'm not. But I am gonna tell you that like if you zoom in,
he's wearing a Toronto tee.
No, he's not. Like this is the picture.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay. So white coat and then black shirt.
Now, like recently, it's been discovered. Like you zoom in on the shirt.
Yeah.
And it's gonna blow your mind what this guy's actually wearing underneath the white thing.
Hold on. Oh, that can't be true.
Isn't that crazy? But it's 100% true.
It's like a
he's like wearing a hoodie.
And this is not doctored.
No.
This is not AI slop you're handing me here.
He's wearing a black zip-up hoodie underneath the white.
I think that's a Great Lakes Brewery Octopus Wants to Fight hoodie.
It could be. So for those of you who are wondering, I'll show it to the camera here. But he's literally wearing like a zip-up hoodie underneath that white thing. And I never...
Well, people can Google Thriller album and zoom in, for sure. That's a mind blow. Absolutely. But I do have the VP question, but maybe I go there right now. So VP of Sales wants to know, how much did you have to pay to license Doug and the Slugs for Don't Fuck with Ghosts?
Do you want me to answer that? I just don't want to pigeonhole myself to have to like pay this rate again. Guess.
This is the home of real talk.
Guess.
I don't have a frame of reference.
Well, if you had to guess, how much
did Jan Arden get for Vandits?
That was a favor because she was in the movie.
Because she's
you know?
in the movie. Although she seems
And
to be
I
disowning
promised
that
her-
movie. Have you noticed?
Say what?
She seems to be distancing herself from the film.
Well,
It's a great film, Vandits, by the way.
maybe
I
she-
met Snow at the movie premiere for Vandits.
Yeah.
I didn't talk to him, but Snow was there. I think Ian Service was with me, and well, there's Snow, and I didn't want to bother him. Snow is now in the Toronto Mike calendar. Snow is going to visit the basement early May and do a deep dive with me.
I like him. He's an interesting guy.
Darren O'Brien.
Crazy story. I actually saw him recently. I was at the Trailer Park Boys have a new movie that they put out
right
at the end of
and
last year.
And that's how he got to your Bandits premiere, because the guy from Trailer Park's in that movie.
No, I don't think. Maybe.
I
That
think
might
so.
be how he got there. But either way, I saw him at the Trailer Park Boys premiere thing, and we got to talking, and we started, I was like fascinated by his story. I'm like, oh, someone should do a movie. He's like, oh, there are. We're developing a show about my life and my story. And I'm like, holy shit. And he was telling me he's got stories, Mike.
Well, his longtime manager, Paul Farberman, who has been down here and loved it and thinks Darren's going to love being down here, said that he thinks that that Darren's going to be telling me everything.
I think that Darren's going to be a great guest, and you should definitely tell him that I say hello.
I'm going to talk about seeing him at the Vandits premiere.
Yeah.
But Don't Fuck With Ghosts is the new movie.
Yes.
And I saw it. Also another great movie from you and your brother-in-law, Adam. Excellent work on Don't Fuck With Ghosts.
Thank you.
Now we need to know how much you had to pay the Doug and the Slugs family.
Yeah, so how
or
much
whatever.
do you think?
Okay, that was a question. Okay, let me think. So this is in a film, a song from Doug and the Slugs, $10,000.
Now listen, if you were an independent, fiercely independent brewing company like 5-7 Films,
right?
Do you think that we would even have $10,000 to spend on a song?
You said pick a number. I can't be wrong in my
now
guess.
I'm giving you some more insight, so now I'm going to allow you to...
$2,500.
Closer.
$2,000.
You're pretty much right there. That's a
deal.
That's a steal. And we were very lucky to get that as well.
Is that sticker price?
I don't think so.
Is that a sticker you price?
No, I think that's a much better deal than sticker you would.
Well, that's $2,000 to get a song for your film. That's going to air on Hollywood Suite.
Yeah.
Shout out to David Kynes.
That's what it cost. And I'll tell you what, the money that we saved, we end up using to make this product, which I don't know if you've seen before.
No.
But this is the official Don't Fuck With Ghosts ranch dipping sauce.
Wow.
Which doubles as a salad dressing.
Move over, Paul Newman.
This is edible, by the way, but I don't recommend it. It is the Rodness family secret recipe for ranch. And this is, me and Adam somehow ended up with 100 bottles of this.
Oh my God. And it's got an expiry date, probably.
It does have an expiry date.
So the clock is ticking.
2025, June 15th.
Okay, that is my anniversary.
Okay, so I wouldn't use this. I would just keep it on your shelf. And the next time I come, Mike, I am going to come with something to stick on the wall because I do feel like one of my movies needs to be on the wall here.
So I want to get back to a movie I saw last night, actually. But I want to tell the listenership that Don't Fuck With Ghosts is the most recent production from 5-7 Films.
Yes. Yes, and it is playing on Hollywood Suite. It's playing on Apple TV, but Hollywood Suite is where you should watch it.
Well, we're big fans of Hollywood Suite
As am I.
on this show.
As am I.
David Kynes is a beloved of, and he gave me a ticket to go see Gladiator 2 at a Hollywood Suite employee function, and I invited some FOTMs like Leslie Taylor and Lieve Fumka.
That's great, and I will say real quick, just getting back to this dipping sauce, Mike, that the secret ingredient is pheromones. So if you're thinking of cracking that open on your anniversary over a nice salad, it might be a special night for you.
There's something else I want to promote, but I'm not quite there yet. I want to tell you, ask you if you know the name Avi Federgreen.
Of course. He's a fiercely independent filmmaker himself.
He's prolific producer of films in this country.
He can make a movie for less than I paid for Doug and the Slugs. Avi is a very resourceful
Okay, so let me
producer.
tell you, this will be interesting to you, and I think it'll be... So I met Avi because Avi went to his longtime lawyer, and said he had an idea for a podcast. And this woman said, I love Toronto Mike. You should talk to Toronto Mike. Next thing you know, I'm producing a podcast for Avi Federgreen. It's called Unleashed. It's about indie filmmaking in this country.
I should go on it.
Honestly, you should. Avi You should. I'm going to tell Avi, get Stu Stone on Unleashed. But yesterday I was at Canadian Film Fest. I was at Scotiabank Theater where I saw your last two films debut.
I think one of my buddies' movies, It Feeds, played there. Okay. Did you see that?
No, I only saw one movie, which was called Home Free.
Okay. Is that Avi's movie?
Avi Federgreen directed.
Really?
His directorial debut.
Good for him.
And I just want to tell, hopefully Avi's listening, and I mean this sincerely, no bullshit. It was a beautiful film. Art Hindle's in this, stars in this.
I don't doubt that. Avi has Avi has a very under the radar prolific career where guys that are in the industry, not like, to be like, oh, I'm in the industry, but like people who are in the industry, we all know him. We've all met him, we all know him, we all know of him. And when you think of literally the resourcefulness that it takes to be a producer in Canada of independent films, Avi's could be at the top of the list. Arguably, he is at the top of the list of guys that know how to like get shit done. You know what I mean? And I remember early in our journey, Adam and I's journey, we had several conversations with Avi, not only just to try to collaborate with the guy, but just to pick his brain. And he was so resourceful and so willing to be open with us about some tips and tricks of the trade that he had picked up over the years. He's a good dude, but more importantly, he is somebody that, man, it's unbelievable. You talk about productivity. I thought that me and Adam, we've been in business for a few years now, and we've done a lot of movies and we've cranked out stuff. But Avi's, he cranks stuff out. He makes it happen. So good for him.
He cranks them out. And this is something completely different, though. Home Free, if you get a chance to see it. And I saw the Hollywood Suite logo at the end.
Oh, that's cool.
So I'm thinking maybe it'll be like...
Maybe you learned that trick from us.
Maybe it'll be like... Yeah, maybe. I haven't talked to Kynes about this yet. But Art Hindle is the star. But there's actually this whole family, including... gosh, don't fuck up her name. Tara... Spencer Nairn.
Oh yeah, I know her
from Corner Gas.
Sure, she's great.
She's in it as one of the three daughters. Anyways, it was beautiful, touching, and I think the story behind how it was made is even better than this wonderful film I saw last night. And Avi will be on Toronto Mike to tell me that story, and it's quite something.
Well, please tell him that I send my love and congratulate him. And whereas like I feel like with the exception of Jack of All Trades, the movies that I make with Adam are more light-hearted and funny,
right?
And clever, but funny.
Well, you're in bed with Kevin Hart.
We're doing funny stuff, but Avi's, the fact that he gets to tell stories that are like that, I'm jealous in a lot of ways because, part of me wants to do stuff like that.
Well, Jack of All Trades was very serious.
Well, Jack of All Trades was that, but right. It's like what Billy Corgan said on Howard Stern. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's a podcast host. But Billy Corgan, they were playing Disarm, the song Disarm.
Of course.
It's a great song, one of the best, right? And Billy Corgan's like, do you know, like after I made that song, not one time after I made that song did anybody from the label or anybody tell me to make another song like that. And like that's how it kind of is for me with Jack of All Trades. Like nobody has ever tried to ask me to tell another story like that. They want the funny stuff, which is fine. I enjoy it, and I think that making people laugh is just as hard as making people cry. It is. It's not.
It's hard to make a good comedy.
It's probably harder to make people laugh than cry.
Ghostbusters was not easy to cook up.
Right.
And Don't Fuck with Ghosts doesn't just write itself.
No, and it's not much writing there anyway. There's a lot of there's a lot of spontaneity to make. Is that how you pronounce that, Mike?
Spontaneity.
There's a lot of spontaneity to.
How do you say pasta?
Well, it depends which side of the border you're on, but is it palma?
It's pasta.
Palma
right?
pasta or palma pasta?
That's the eternal question.
Drama or drama?
Sound of one foyer or foyer? Which one do you say?
Couch or Chesterfield? TV remote?
Soda or Coke or
Now,
pop?
I'm old enough to remember changing the channels on my TV with a converter.
Yeah, me too. I still call it a converter. That's true.
Do you remember the one that was like it was like a hard wire thing and it was like
of course.
It was almost like a a phone operator like connecting two lines you'd have to do to get to the channels?
I'm older than you. Of course.
Okay.
Of course. I had on a wonderful, beautiful, talented person named Andrea Romolo was here on Monday night. Okay. just tremendous. Got to listen to Andrea Romolo on Toronto Mike. She was wonderful. But we talked about she's an occasional
They're
teacher.
saying that they lost sound on your.
Did they?
Yeah.
I didn't. I'm busy making a podcast here. I can't be worried about the live stream. I don't think they've lost sound. Like I think we're still loud. I don't know. If they need to refresh their browser is what I would say to them. But okay, to continue. So she's an occasional teacher, which is also known as a substitute teacher. But when I was growing up, we called these people supply teachers. Like we have a supply teacher.
Sure. Where they're not called that anymore?
No.
What are they called?
Well, now they're called occasional teachers.
Shut up.
Some people call them substitute teachers, but they're never called supply teachers.
Why not?
I don't know. Maybe the name never did make sense.
Is that an offensive name?
I don't know. But here's what's not offensive. I have a note from, and I don't know, you'll tell me if you know these people, Matt and Jess TV.
Okay.
So this note comes in and it reads, Stu is so awesome.
Oh.
I met him a million years ago when he was touring with Jamie Kennedy, and Stu was so sweet to everyone. Matt and Jess TV.
That sounds right.
Is that your burner account?
No.
Matt and Jess TV?
It's not.
Okay.
But shout out to Matt and Jess TV. I mean, that sounds about right. I mean, listen, Mike, you've met me before. I am a real, a pleasant young man. And I thank whoever Matt and Jess TV is for coming out to whatever show that was when we met and crossed paths.
Canada Kev, do you know that name? Canada Kev writes in,
Icon.
Is it a coincidence that the new season of Dark Side of the Ring starts when Stu returns to the basement? Before you answer that question, can I play a trailer for season 6 of Dark Side of the Ring?
Sure.
Here we go.
Hell in a Cell hits you like a mallet to the consciousness.
Dark Side of the Ring is back.
He got brain damage for a wrestling angle on television.
It added to the storyline.
He would have liked to die in the ring.
What come out of Vince's mouth, don't trust it.
It was too controversial for TV.
Holy.
With 10 all-new unforgettable episodes.
Believe half what you hear and nothing of what you see.
Dark Side of the Ring. New season premieres Tuesday, March 25th at 10 on Vice.
Okay, that was yesterday.
Yeah.
Right?
Hell in a Cell is available now on Crave. You can watch it on demand.
Yeah, tell us about, like, what do you do for Dark Side of the Ring and where are we at with that? This is a very popular series.
It is. I mean, we've done 6 seasons of it. I personally have done 40 episodes of this show, Mike. I am the guy who's the documentary director of the series. So
and we hear your voice often.
You hear it often because I don't shut up. But I will say that this season is quite an exciting one. And as far as me personally, like the personal craziness that I got to experience, one of the episodes is about a guy named Billy Jack Haynes, who is a wrestler from the 80s that you might remember.
Sure.
Wrestled Hercules at WrestleMania 3.
I remember Hercules.
Billy Jack Haynes is now in jail for, he's on trial for killing his wife. I actually went into prison and interviewed him in prison. Like, that's crazy, right? Like,
wow.
I never could imagine that I would do something like that. And so this show has really been an incredible experience for me personally, not only because of my massive fandom of wrestling, which is well documented here, but also, oh, and by the way, when we first started Pandemic Fridays, I didn't work on Dark Side of the Ring. Like, that happened since we started.
That's the TMU bump.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
That's what it is. If you don't have to be a wrestling fan to enjoy the show. I feel like it's got like a real ESPN 30 for 30 vibe.
It's real talk for wrestling fans.
And it's also human stories.
Yes.
It's like the people who are in this world of wrestling are characters like beyond. And I'm not just talking about like the subject matter. Their family, their friends, their coworkers are also characters. And the places that I get to travel to interview them are places that I wouldn't even be able to point out on a map half the time. You know, we land in a city and we drive 4 hours to like who knows where.
Right.
And that's, you know what? I also want to say this whole, let's take the whole Trump Canada thing out of the equation just for the sake of this conversation. Obviously, that's changed the opinion of Donald Trump for what we've had here in Canada and anything else that he's done that's made you not like him, okay? Take that out of the equation, all right? The fact that doing the show Dark Side of the Ring has taken me to all sorts of places high and low in the United States of America, and I would say that like 80% of the time where I am traveling is in these sort of like Trump counties. that's where a lot of these wrestlers live. That's where their friends and family live. And like the outskirts of almost every city in America is that. So I think that I've been exposed in ways that most people haven't to both sides of America. And, you know, I'm not going to say like, oh, there's fine people on both sides. Like, I'm not using that quote. But I will say that like it wasn't as evil as I thought it was going to be. When you actually go and you meet people and you're in the community and you're at the diners and you're at the restaurants. And I went to a karaoke bar and there was the people with the red hats and I would like sang with them. And it was, you know, it is what it is. It's like, I feel like we were hypersensitive the first time around. Again, I'm taking the Canada thing out of the equation here. That changes the whole context of this conversation.
Yeah, we'll put that on the side.
Yes. But the whole idea of like, oh, if you don't agree with me politically, we can't be friends thing that was going on in 2020 during that run, or 2016, I should say, to 2020, that run, I don't think that's reasonable behavior anymore. I mean, again, taking the Canada thing out of the equation.
But take the Canada thing out. Just a couple of, like, I'm not here to have the political debate. I'm saving it for CNN, okay? I got to save my heavy artillery.
Sure.
But two things that jump in my head is, one is a woman's right to choose.
Listen, I knew you were going to go there first.
Body autonomy for
I'm saying like I could be in Trump country without having those types of discussions.
Right.
And I'm not there
because you're a dude.
And I'm not trying, well, I'm just saying like I'm saying like I didn't have to sit there and have political conversations. And I have a feeling most of those folks don't even know what the you know, it's like pick a side. You know, it's like their neighbors wear red hats. So that's what they are. It's like you're a product of your environment.
That's a Third Base song.
Is
product
it?
of the environment.
Well, I think you are a product of your environment, like how you grow up.
Right.
Like in Canada, if you are of our age or within 5 years of our age or less, you grew up in a primarily like liberal.
And it depends what part of Canada, because we're learning that Alberta, Canada is very different
completely
from Ontario.
So if you grew up in Thornhill, Canada, or Toronto, Canada, in the 80s and 90s, you were probably like just like a liberal person, and like that's just how you were raised.
Right. Because it's interesting to me that the CNN 5-minute hit I did included a short excerpt off the top of the Scott Thompson visit, which, by the way, I highly recommend Scott Thompson.
And you promoted it on CNN.
I did, because it's so good. And the story of how that came to be could be its own micro episode, but we'll touch on that on FOTM cast when Tyler's in the basement with your buddy Cam Gordon. You're still tight with Cam?
Of course. I just haven't seen him in a while. But
the audio is working, by the way, so no more distractions from the. You know, if it doesn't work for you, reload the browser and say a little prayer to your Almighty there. Okay, but
I'm just decided myself again. The Canada thing out of the equation, that's changed things.
Right, but okay, I have to finish that thought. I have a bad habit of I start a thought, I go off on 10 tangents, and then sometimes I forget. I got to come back to it. But they played an excerpt off the top of the Scott Thompson episode of Toronto Mike, which was just earlier that week. And this excerpt was FOTM's Colin Mockery and Deborah McGrath talking about buying Canadian. Keep your money in Canada, supporting Canadians. It's from the Pro Bono group. Then I was thinking just in real time, didn't comment on it, but I'm thinking, I had a great chat with these two who are so proud and scared for their transgender daughter. Okay. And I realized what you're saying here, they're just human beings. They voted for Trump. But part of the deal beyond the autonomy for women's bodies, which as a father, forget the father of daughters, as a human being upsets me. But the way that transgender people are treated by Trump administration. I don't have a transgender child, but I feel for all transgender people and all parents of transgender people. I think it's horrific.
It's definitely not a good thing.
So we can't, even if you take 51st state rhetoric aside.
Yeah, no, there's obviously issues that are you cannot separate yourself from. And I'm not, but I didn't, like I said, I didn't sit there at like some barbecue joint in like wherever the fuck Missouri and talk about transgender rights with some guy. And I'm sure had I done that, I probably would have been upset with the result of that conversation.
Because they legally now in the States, thanks to an executive order, there's only 2 genders now in the United States. Like, this is, and if you were assigned the male, you were assigned the male gender at birth and you were a transgender woman, you have to put on your passport male.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not, who knows how long that will last for.
3.5 more years.
Yeah. So I feel like, you gotta, transgender folks have had a hell of a fight. When we were kids,
It was gay rights.
It was but I'm saying like, just look at that. Like when you look at how gay people were portrayed on television growing up, they were the punchline.
Delirious.
They were
by Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, like they were not, like they've come a long way. And, the acceptance in the public, like when I was in high school, nobody was out of the closet.
Right.
And there was for sure gay
Same
kids
here.
in our school, and maybe you knew they were, but nobody was out. And now out is just like, it's not even a thing. It's like we've come a long way as a society in our growth in acceptance, and especially when it comes to that type of stuff, like with sexuality. And I feel like, progress takes time, Mike. And I feel like the transgender community has made a ton of progress, obviously, in the last 5-10 years. And sometimes you got to take, you 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, 5 steps forward. This is just part of it. And I feel like they are thick-skinned and tough enough and have dealt with a lot worse than the name calling or whatever's coming from Trump. But they'll hopefully, things will shake out in the wash, or however you say it. And things will be okay for them as well, and as they should be. I think that trans rights are human rights, obviously. And
well said.
And it takes time. People are ignorant. More people are ignorant than not ignorant. And it's, you think about any sort of minorities that had issues in the past that are still obviously having issues. It took time for people to learn and a new generation to come in. Now, I'll say this. It's an old school mentality. You still, Donald Trump still represents a generation that had no tolerance for this type of stuff, right? When it comes to sexuality, when it comes to certain minorities, I don't need to say that out loud. You know what I'm implying here. I would say that the generation under us, Mike, your kids and other people who are watching this right now and their kids, they're completely different than we are. They are very accepting. Now, I worked on a set with somebody who identified as them. And for me, personally, that was new. I'm in my 40s, depending on which website you look at, Mike. And this was something new for me. And it was hard for me, not consciously
you're
hard.
Gonna slip up.
But it's like, oh, tell her to come over here or whatever. Tell him to come over here. You
have to work at it.
And it's like they would be, I'm telling you, Mike, these 20-year-olds that were working with me slipped right off the tongue.
Yep, I know.
They're coming here. It's like the future is bright, is what I'm trying to say. So it's like, yes, it's tough right now, and we have to support our friends who are getting, held down, in especially in the transgender and the gay community, et cetera, all the different folks who are affected by that. But they need to know, and I'm here to tell you, folks out there, it's going to get better, because the next generation coming does not have the same view of you that the generation that's here right now has. And the future is going to be bright and prosperous for you. That's the best I can put it right now. And that's based on my own personal experience dealing with this type of stuff. So yes, it's definitely, we're in a gross place right now, but it's going to get better. It has to, because I've seen it and you've seen it. Kids that are coming up today, they don't even watch television, Mike. They don't even know what it is. They literally don't know what it is. Just like they don't know what it is to hate on a gay person or a trans person. That's not how they're taught. That's not how they're raised. And that's not how it is. Is that how we're finishing up? on that soapbox spiel?
I thought you did a good job there.
Thank
you. Trans rights are human rights, and that
yes.
ain't, as Tobias Vaughn writes in the live stream, that ain't political.
No, it's not. We could talk off microphone about this topic for a while here, but it's been a real pleasure to come here, Mike. I always have a good time, and we should put another one in the schedule sooner than later.
I would love regular Stu Stone appearances.
Especially if it comes with Rob sending videos like that or messages like that.
He's a sweetheart. He'd do it. And he looks forward to your appearances. He had big shoes to fill when I needed to recast the roles of Cam and Stu for Toast, because I didn't want to stop Toast.
No, I'm happy you did.
And I said, Bob Willett, I'll make him a radio superstar. I've succeeded. Rob Bruce, I'm going to make him a musician prodigy. I succeeded.
You did.
And now everybody's doing well. And I got to say, Dark Side of the Ring, every time I hear somebody talk about it, they have this look on their face like, that's great television.
It's a good show. And
you're a big part of that, a huge part of that, the biggest part of that.
I would say I'm one of the big parts of it for sure. And there's a huge team, of course, Jason Eisner and Evan Husney, and then the camera crew and the art department and the wardrobe. Everybody who works on that show is so passionate about it. And there could be another season coming, Mike. Maybe by the next time we talk.
Speaking of that, do you know who didn't slide into my DMs? They texted me last night and we confirmed it this morning. Mike Richards.
Oh, yeah?
In the basement Monday morning.
That's huge.
He's making a big announcement. He says this is the biggest announcement.
Well, this is the place to do it.
He won't do it anywhere else. So, not a drill, everybody. The next episode of Toronto Mike will drop Friday, and it's Hill Korkutis, who is a Juno-nominated engineer, musician, very talented woman. It's going to be amazing. But live in the basement Monday morning, I think 10 a.m., live.torontomike.com. Mike Richards, huge announcement. And then Tuesday, your buddy Cam Gordon returns with Tyler Campbell for FOTM Cast. We'll be talking about this appearance. I love my Stu Stone conversations.
I love you, man, and I love the FOTM universe and the TMU that you have built here. So shout out to all of you who are loyal Mike listeners, and just know that your loyalty to Mike is only reflected by my loyalty to Ross.
And shout out to Guy Smiley.
Yes. Yes.
I think that's JD Vance's burner account.
Could be.
Guy Smiley. And that brings us to the end of our 1,658th show. 1658. Wow. Only 100 of those star Stu Stones.
That's a lot.
Go to TorontoMike.com for all your Toronto Mike needs. I'm on Blue Sky at TorontoMike.com. Watch Dark Side of the Ring.
Please do.
And watch Don't Fuck with Ghosts.
Sure. And use
Hollywood Suite.
And use the Don't Fuck with Ghosts dipping sauce, Mike.
I can't wait to show Monica what we're going to enjoy in our anniversary.
Some 9.5 weeks type stuff.
Here's the Friendly Giant.
Yes.
Much love to all who made this possible. That's Great Lakes Brewery.
Mm-hmm.
They're hosting us on June 26th. I hope you can be there.
Me too.
Palma Pasta, they're going to feed us. RecycleMyElectronics.ca. Here's the Pizza Nova theme, but Palma Pasta is better. Building Toronto Skyline and Ridley Funeral Home. Again, Friday.
Here's some spoons.
Yeah, that's Romantic Traffic, which Rob Pruce co-wrote.
Yes. Is he in the credits?
He's in the credits. Pour him in. Okay. And speaking of Scott Thompson.
Hey, there you go. Kids in the Hall right here.
Are you going to listen?
Of course.
Okay, let me know what you think, okay?
I will.
See you all Friday with Hill, and then Monday with Mike Richards, and then Tuesday with Cam Gordon and the VP of Sales.